Let's cut the act, shall we? Jay-Z's past was never polished clean. From his hustling on the streets to that flashy rap come-up, there's plenty this man has slipped past without ever blinking. But guess what? This time the silence won't be his shield. A woman out in Maryland just stormed in with what she claims are undeniable receipts. And according to her, Jay-Z, he's not only the father of Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir, apparently, he's hers too. Meet Letitia MYR. And no, this isn't just some random clout hunter screaming for attention. She pulled out photos, detailed stories, and even a DNA test, leaving the internet completely floored. At just 28 years old, Letitia insists she's carried this truth her entire life, waiting for the world to finally hear it loud. That Jay-Z is her father. Not gossip, not speculation, but the straight-up story her family drilled into her since forever. Yet she never knew how to carry that secret until now. So what finally pushed her to speak out? A throwback photo she dropped of her mother, Lisa, cozied up with a young Sean Carter back in 1990. And the caption? Meet the parents, my parents, Sean and Lisa. The internet went absolutely feral, and honestly, who could blame them? But trust me, that was only the opening act. Letitia followed with a gut-punching Instagram post, spelling out years swallowed by silence. She exposed the heartbreak of watching her mother battle multiple sclerosis, while shouldering the crushing responsibility of raising her own kids, all while hiding a secret that could shatter an empire. She swore this wasn't some attention grab. She just got exhausted pretending her life wasn't directly connected to one of music's most powerful men. In her version, the whispers around town weren't whispers at all. They were straight-up talk. Folks knew. Jay's inner circle knew. And that ancestry DNA test she took? Yeah, she says it backed up the bombshell she's now dropping for the world. The connection. And naturally, the internet did what it always does best, explode. Half the crowd rushed to defend her, while the other half dragged her as a liar chasing a quick bag. Some blasted her for allegedly trying to wreck Jay and Beyoncé's marriage. Others trashed her mom as nothing more than an old groupie hoping to cash in years later. But Letitia didn't fold, she fired back hard. She snapped back. Y'all just mad your so-called favorite rapper's hiding a secret you can't handle. And oh, she wasn't done. She even alleged Jay-Z dropped $1.7 million on a Maryland house for her, then slapped her with an NDA to stay silent. Now here's where things heat up. Because if that's really true, why would Jay-Z go out of his way to bury it so deep? His way to hand someone he refuses to acknowledge that kind of hush treatment, a house in cash, and total silence? That speaks louder than any denial ever could. And remember, Letitia isn't the only one pointing fingers. Ramier Satright, another alleged child of Jay-Z, has been battling through courts for years trying to prove paternity. Yet Jay-Z never appeared, never responded, never once bothered to stand in front of a judge and address it. Gave a statement, never took a test, just brushed it off. And while that might have slid 10 years back, it's not sliding now. Letitia's story has set social media on fire as people start connecting dots, questioning if Jay's so-called private lifestyle is nothing more than a slick cover to escape ugly truths. And Beyoncé, let's be real, she's likely furious, because this whole messy saga looks way too much like history repeating itself. Exactly what her own father, Matthew Knowles, pulled on her mother, Tina. Affairs, hidden children, and buried scandals bubbling up at the ugliest time possible. So if Jay-Z really has other kids out here, and if he's been paying them off to keep quiet, how long before the dam finally bursts? The cracks are already visible. Jay-Z has always operated carefully, but this time the walls around his perfect image are starting to collapse. Like a chess master, quiet, calculated, always 10 steps ahead. But even the sharpest players can't escape the past forever. Letitia's accusations have dragged a spotlight onto a side of his world he's kept buried for decades. And the wild part? This isn't even brand new. Ramier Satright has been pushing for more than 10 years, fighting to get Jay-Z to finally acknowledge him, yet the rapper kept sidestepping every attempt without blinking. His case got tossed out, but his voice never disappeared. And now, with Letitia stepping forward, folks are suddenly treating these paternity claims with way more weight. Letitia didn't just drop her truth, she came armed. From childhood memories to intimate family photos, her timeline lined up perfectly with the years Jay was moving through Maryland. She even posted screenshots of supportive messages from locals who swore they'd heard the same whispers long before she ever spoke. Always suspected the connection. One message flat out read, "Everybody in Cambridge knew about you and Jay." It was never a secret, it was just ignored. And that's exactly what makes this story sting differently. This isn't just one woman stirring up drama. It's an entire community chiming in, basically saying, yeah, we always knew, and now the whispers that were once brushed off are suddenly echoing louder than Jay-Z ever expected them to. Knew. But Jay-Z never addressed it. Not once. Not even when Letitia filed a paternity suit in California. His legal team gave no response, never appeared, and didn't bother sending a statement. The case was quietly dismissed. Not because she failed, but because he simply refused to engage. And that silence, that's when people really started raising eyebrows. If he knew he wasn't the father, why not fight to clear his name? Instead, Jay-Z left it hanging unchallenged, like it meant nothing. What truly sent the internet spiraling was her bombshell about the house. Letitia claimed Jay purchased her a lakeside property in Maryland valued at $1,700,000, a move that had fans questioning whether hush money was disguised as real estate generosity. Then forced her to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Her friends backed it up too. Supposedly, she went silent after signing, only to resurface online once the pressure grew too heavy to ignore. She insisted she carried the secret for years, but the burden eventually broke her down, especially when the whispers around her name got louder and the story refused to stay buried in the shadows where Jay-Z wanted it hidden. When people began accusing her of chasing clout, even though she was already allegedly living the kind of life that didn't need cheap attention grabs to begin with. In the house. If that property really came from Jay, then he's clearly not as distant from her as he wants the public to think. And if he's scrambling to patch things up quietly, that points to something bigger, maybe guilt, maybe fear. Either way, it leaves one massive question hanging. If Letitia is being honest, then how many other Letitias are out there, waiting for their moment to step forward with the same claim? Out there? How many stories stayed buried because those involved lacked the courage or the platform to speak? Beyoncé's name got dragged into it, too. Fans started pointing fingers her way, claiming she's the reason Jay won't go public about his alleged children. But others quickly defended her, arguing it's not her responsibility to force her husband into acknowledging anything, especially scandals that trace back long before she was even part of his world. Husband to step up as a father to kids from past relationships. One Beyoncé fan even wrote to Letitia, saying, "I love Beyoncé, but I support your journey. Every child deserves their father, and your siblings deserve to know you." It was heartfelt, raw, and surprisingly supportive. Now the debate is raging. Is Jay-Z a cold, calculated icon protecting his empire, or just a frightened man cornered by secrets finally clawing their way into the light? Dodging responsibility. The truth could sit somewhere in between. But with Letitia standing her ground and Ramier still battling for recognition, Jay-Z may not get to hide behind silence much longer. The streets are watching, the blogs are blazing, and the pressure is rising quick. The weight of this story is already crushing his carefully built image, threatening to turn whispers into headlines he can't control, or buy his way out of this time. Starting to shatter the image. Jay-Z, once untouchable, is now being cast by some as the very thing he's preached against for years, a father who abandoned his own blood. Those lyrics about family, legacy, and black excellence sound different when a woman steps up claiming to be his firstborn, ignored, pushed aside, and muzzled with a flashy real estate deal. Suddenly the empire doesn't look inspiring, it looks hypocritical, built on silence and buried truths. Letitia May's claims have forced the public to rethink everything they believed about the Carters, and it's messy. Letitia didn't just pop up out of nowhere tossing wild accusations. She arrived with names, faces, medical hardships, court records, and a timeline that connected all the dots. She revealed the pain of watching her mother decline from multiple sclerosis while carrying the weight of a secret that tied her life directly to one of music's most powerful figures. Raising 4 children, twins included, without ever getting public support or recognition from the man she believed fathered her daughter. That's the detail people can't ignore. If even a slice of her story proves true, it frames a superstar abandoning a woman who struggled in silence for years. And then comes Ramier. His case, tucked away like an embarrassing secret, suddenly resurfaced with new energy once Letitia's revelations dragged the conversation back into the spotlight again. Story began spreading everywhere. People started connecting dots, same age ranges, the same silence from Jay-Z, and the same court dismissals that never seemed tied to real evidence. Ramier once said he doesn't need Jay to disprove him. He just wants the truth, even if that truth humiliates him. And it's that kind of raw, unpolished honesty that's pulled the public closer, making them lean in instead of turning away from the unfolding drama. This isn't clout anymore. It's closure. And let's be honest, Beyoncé is stuck in the middle of it. Like it or not, she's the face of poise, perfection, and power. But nobody can deny this whole storm drags up memories of what her own mother endured. Matthew Knowles cheated, fathered secret kids, and the betrayal played out ugly, public, chaotic, and humiliating. Now history feels like it's circling back, only this time the target is her husband. So if Jay really did the same thing, even if it happened years back, the impact still cuts deep. People aren't just questioning if Beyoncé is angry. They're asking how long she's known and how much she's been forced to swallow just to protect their polished image. Letitia's supporters are getting louder every day, insisting it's time for Jay-Z to quit hiding behind silence, NDAs, and courtroom dismissals, and finally face the truth head-on. One message to her said, "You're not chasing clout. You're his child, and you deserve to be recognized." Others pushed her to keep talking, even if the media tries to bury the story. Because no matter how rich or powerful someone is, they shouldn't be allowed to strip their kids of the right to be acknowledged. What's crazy is how many people now believe there could be more untold stories hiding in Jay-Z's shadow. Could be more, that Letitia and Ramier might simply be the ones bold enough to finally speak up. But they're not the only possibilities. Jay-Z was a star long before he ever met Beyoncé. He lived fast, toured non-stop, and rapped openly about the lifestyle he was living. So to many, it's hardly shocking to think he might have fathered children along the way, leaving behind stories that are only now beginning to surface. What's shocking is that a man who built his brand on ownership, fatherhood, and black excellence would stay silent while two people claim to share his blood. The internet never forgets. And in a time where money and power can't bury stories forever, Jay-Z is running out of time to confront what's already slipping through the cracks. Letitia put it plainly, making it clear her truth isn't going anywhere until he finally faces it. Best, you don't have to believe me, but I'm not going away. And with every new voice joining the conversation, the picture sharpens. This story isn't just about paternity, it's about accountability, legacy, and the truth finally chasing down one of the most powerful men in music. The silence that once protected Jay-Z now feels like an admission, and the longer he waits, the heavier the spotlight burns on everything he's tried to bury.